What if some of the most painful moments in your life also held unexpected beauty? Not because the pain wasn't real, but because you were transformed through it. In this week's episode, I'm joined by the amazing Steph Grainger, who shares her powerful perspective on collateral beauty, a concept sparked by a Will Smith movie that has shaped the way she supports women to reconnect with who they truly are. Therapeutic mentor and host of the Sisterhood Networking group, Steph walks beside her clients like a Sherpa as they turn pain into power, embrace their truths, and create authentic freedom. Using powerful life transforming techniques, she helps them to break down limiting patterns, shift perceptions, and move confidently towards the life that they long for. Join us as we explore how joy and pain create the intentional women we are today, what it really looks like to reframe challenges into resilience, how to choose empowerment when life feels heavy, and how to use your story as a landscape for growth, healing, and freedom so that you can become the powerful, intentional woman you are meant to be. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Unapologetic Mompreneur, the podcast for mums with an online business who are ready to take back their time, home, business, and self so they can restore the balance and thrive, both at home and at work, without feeling like they have to choose between the two. I'm your host, Sarah Dew, life and biz coach for mumpreneurs. I'm also a mum, stepmom, wife, introvert, breast cancer survivor, and your mentor for making a change for the better. I've learned how to go from surviving to thriving and unapologetically create a business I love and the life I want for me and my family without worrying about what other people think. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Because being an unapologetic mumpreneur doesn't mean that we're selfish or that we don't care about others. It simply means that we are not afraid to show up as our true, authentic selves, to step into our purpose, do what we know is right for ourselves and the ones we love, and take the steps we need to take to make our dream life and business a reality. Join me each week where I'll be sharing all of my best tips and strategies, plus the occasional dose of tough but gentle love to help you feel empowered, motivated, and confident to take action so that you can become the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. So, are you ready to unapologetically create a business and life you love? Let's do this. Hey, Steph. Welcome to the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast.
Good morning. Is it morning? It's still morning. Well, it might not be when this goes
It's
out,
just
but
about.
yeah.
Yep, that's fine. I've not had lunch yet, so it's still morning as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. So yeah, I'm welcome and really excited that we're digging in today. We're going to be sharing all about collateral beauty and how to shift from seeing collateral damage to recognizing collateral beauty in your life. And when we chatted briefly and connected a week or so ago and dove into this topic, and it was just, yeah, really looking forward to it. I know it's something that everybody's going to really enjoy. So before we dive in, do you want to just share a little bit about you, what you do, your journey to where got to where you are now, your family, all of that stuff, just in case they haven't
Okay.
met you yet?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Steph. I recently turned 50, so I really feel like I'm in a new phase. I love turning decades. I've always found like 30, 40, 50 to be really defining for me. Um, and 50 feels really powerful to me. So that was this year. Um, I have three older sons in their 20s, and so I'm in that phase of making it all about me, which is great, which is another reason I love my 50s. And the work that I do is, I always say that I have become the woman I needed 20 years ago. And a lot of people say, like a lot of women that I know that do similar work to that I do, soul-led, kind of intuitive, therapeutic work, say very similar things because I think we're driven by our own story and we're driven by our own experiences. And for many of us, we want to help others that have felt like we have, or have felt isolated or alone or kind of trapped in themselves. And I think when I was saying why I love the decade turn is my 30s were really pivotal in that I left and divorced the father of my children and recognized that our time had come to an end and it was time for us both to not that he would put it like this probably, but it was just we weren't making each other happy anymore. And I wanted more and I needed more. So that was kind of a really big shift that started to occur for me in my 30s. But at the same time, it came with a whole tidal wave of sadness and grief and me having to really revisit some difficult times that I'd experienced in my life. And I think that, the subject we're talking on today, if somebody has said to me at that point, one day you're going to look back and be so grateful for all of this, I probably would have punched them square in the face because it didn't feel like any of this was a blessing at all. It felt so dark and scary at times. And I went on to get a chronic condition, which is called chronic urticaria, which is swelling of your body when you're under immense stress. And I think because for so many years I had suppressed everything, my body just said, we can't do this anymore. Like we are so tired and we're so exhausted. And that whole the body keeps score started to come through for me in that my tongue would swell up and it would be so random at such random times. And the doctors were just like, you've got this condition, you're going to have to treat it with antihistamines for the rest of your life or for however long it stays. And I was just, this can't be how I have to live, like waking up and just be swollen and not be able to talk and this fear of my throat constricting. And I guess that's where it all really began, where I started to think this can't be how I now have to live my life. And stress is having such a huge impact that it was time to face some of the realities of my life experiences. So yeah, as I sit here today, sort of 20 years on, I'm a completely different person. Essentially, I'm the same person, but I guess I would say I'm a much more lighter person. And I know myself so deeply now. I know when I'm going into a cycle of stress, how to help myself through all of those. And that's just been through all the development I've done, all the healing I've done, but also the training I've done as well. So, as I sit here today, I'm a therapist. I consider myself a therapeutic mentor, which means like I kind of walk beside my clients as a therapist. I guide them with all the tools and techniques that I've gained over the last sort of 15 years working for myself. And yeah, I guess that's my intro to that was a bit of an unexpected intro for you, but yeah, that's me.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think you're right, as we go on like through the decades, and it's been the same with me in 30s and now I'm 40s and approaching sort of towards 50, that yeah, definitely finding that I'm totally different as a person to where I
Mm.
was. And again, I know we're really going to dig into some of those, like even like some of the heartbreaking moments going through of having that to shape us. And as when we spoke before, and those listening know about my breast cancer journey of how that shaped me and where I am now and everything. And it definitely does change you and processing all of that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into that. And I'm really just thank you for sharing your journey with it and everything that you've been through. So now I know talking about like we know about collateral damage, but you talk about collateral beauty in your life. And when we spoke earlier and we were talking about coming onto the podcast, you shared about how a Will Smith movie sparks a powerful shift in perspective for you. Do you want to just tell us about that and how that led to weaving into like what it means by collateral beauty in your life?
Sure. So I found this movie while scrolling one day laying on the sofa, just having one of those kind of down days. And I found it and just thought, I've never heard of this movie. I've never heard anyone talk about this movie, but it's got to be good, right? It's got Will Smith, it's got Helen Mirren, Keira Knightley, it's got all of these faces in it that, right, it's got to be a good movie. So it was one of those, I kind of put it on hoping for just like a nice romancy type happy ending. And it isn't that, but it is that. But it's a real deep, dark, gritty look at grief and loss and the implications of when you're stuck in that darkness of whatever the grief looks like for you, because grief isn't just the death of someone, it's the ending of something. So and I'm just watching it with like, oh my God, this is not kind of what I signed up for today, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. And I'd never heard those two words put together, collateral beauty. And it's right at the end where Helen Mirren uses them. Although the movie's called that, you kind of just ignore that. And as you're watching this person kind of unpick his grief, the Will Smith character, And the effects of that right at the end, and I won't give loads of detail because it'll spoil it if you go on to watch it, but she just simply says to him, always look for the collateral beauty, or be sure to look for the collateral beauty. And it was just one of those moments where I just went, oh my God, I've never ever thought to look at loss in this way because, well, I think because in society that we live in, grief and loss is not easily and well managed a lot of the time. It's not spoken about. Most people don't like talking about death, all of those things. So actually, it's one of those things that's really a taboo subject to many. Some people don't even, they're so uncomfortable with loss and death and all of those
Mm.
and grief. So why would we ever think about it and look at it from the perspective of there is beauty to be seen in all of this? And when I talk to clients about this, I fully expect pushback on it because I would have done the same 20 years ago. Um, because it can be easy just to say, how on earth would I ever look at that situation, whatever it is, with gratitude? However, could I look at that with
Mm.
those sets of eyes that is looking for the growth or the beauty in all of this? So I fully kind of expect that. But at the same time, just by giving someone the opportunity to think about it will change how they start to move through that process. And I'm way down the road with a lot of my grief. And I lost my sister in 1995 to ovarian cancer, and she was 17. I was 19. And for a good amount of years, just ignored the depths of that loss because I didn't even know how to comprehend it or begin to process it. And then I had my first child at 21. So within a very short period of time, um, I was parenting amongst all
Mm.
of that. So I didn't really give myself space to do that. And again, at that age, if someone had said there's so much beauty to be seen in the loss of your sister, I would have just been like, there's none, absolutely none. All there is heartbreak and sadness, and my parents are falling apart, and my brother doesn't know how to cope with it, and I don't know how to cope with it. And now I'm parenting, and there would have been so much of me that would have been angry and resentful at that time. But now, upon reflection, it goes without saying that I would bring her back in a heartbeat, but I can't do that. So I choose instead every day to seek out the collateral beauty of her existence and her passing as well. And it's helped me immensely. But yeah, one moment, one movie, one line set me off on a whole different pathway.
Incredible. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that is just, it's a movie that since you spoke about it, I need to go and see. I haven't seen it. And yeah, the cast sounds amazing. I love everything with Helen Mirren, but it's just, but you're right. It's hard to think at the time or going through and processing grief that there can be beauty seen from it. And it is a taboo subject. It's something that we don't speak about often enough, and or even afraid to talk about it or address it or even know where to process it. And I've recently been through the same. I mean, next month will be a year that we lost my father-in-law, and he was my dad number two, and we're
Mm,
still processing that now. And but there is so much beauty to be seen in that yes, we miss him every day, but
mhm,
there's so many wonderful memories of it, that he did and things that he said, the way that we did things together.
mhm,
Knowing that you can take that beauty from that is just, yeah, it's incredible. And just that like you say, just one movie, one line, one sentence
mhm,
can make such a difference and change everything for you. I'm so glad that you came across that movie and that helped you in that process, and
mhm,
it allowed you to start healing. And in the because of that, that's now what you're bringing and taking through with your clients as well, which is just amazing. And it's the journeys that it can bring us on as well as a result of that, doesn't it? So how does both joy and pain, do you think, shape the strong intentional women that we are today?
Gosh, how does joy impact? I think it's a choice that we make a conscious choice to begin with. I think when the first time I heard those words, it was a conscious choice from okay, let's try this on and see how that fits. Um, and like everything, when we consciously do something, it eventually becomes an unconscious act. And now I actively, unconsciously seek that out, even in the difficult times I'm experiencing in my life now. When I was going through my divorce, again, that was a very dark time. Now I can look back at it with that set of glasses on. Um, 2 years ago, my son went through chemotherapy through testicular cancer, and he is fine and he is good. Um, and again, there was moments of real sadness and fear, like deep-rooted fear around that. But now I look at him and I watch him doing similar things through just the way I talk. I said he was round last night, and he's 29 this month, and we were talking about his career path. And since having cancer, everything shifted for him. He wants a different life. He wants a calmer life. He wants less stress because he has this concern that high stress will bring back the cancer. So he now meditates and he does yoga and he goes to the gym and he does, and like he's currently in a position of work which he doesn't enjoy. So he's actively seeking out a different role in his employment. And again, he's not looking at it in the same way that I would, but I'm able to look at him and go, but look what it brought him. It gave him a whole different
Mm.
realization. And rather than sit in the why me, it's not fair. I've lost my sister, now my son's got cancer, which don't get me wrong, I did do that initially when the diagnosis came. But we look at, I choose to look at what's come as a result of that, what he's learned, what we've all learned, what we all do now, how, that result. And my dad's currently terminally ill, and we're going to lose him soon. And again, there's these moments where maybe it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're sitting in A&E, and he's had something go not the way we wanted it to. And there was a moment recently where me and my dad and my brother have a shared love of music, and I put on a playlist that we all love. And we were just tapping away and singing away. And I was just like, there's some beauty to grab onto, because I'll remember that when he's gone. And I'll remember that moment of joy amongst the pain that we're also experiencing at the loss that we're going to experience because he won't be here. So I think it's a conscious choice to start with, and it's one that goes against the grain, because again, our programming is to look for the damage, to look for the difficulty. But actually, once you start to think, once you're out of it, like, you're allowed to feel what you feel. And I gift myself all the feelings because they're all relevant. And there are moments where, like I said, when Liam was first diagnosed, I was just like, it's not fair. I'm so angry at the world. And I voice note my friend, and I'll be shouting down the phone, and I allow myself to feel those moments. And then I say, okay, now we're going to change the way we think now. And that becomes that's a conscious choice again in that moment. But I think, going from pain to joy is to start with a conscious choice that we decide we want for ourselves, as opposed to the opposite of that.
Mm. Yeah, it's so right. We do have a choice. And in those moments, it can be hard to feel like we don't have a choice. And we feel all
Mhm,
the feels, don't we? We are angry
mhm,
with the world. We want to
mhm.
shout and scream that it's not fair. But again, we have a conscious decision. And firstly, I'm just so glad that your son is okay, and
Mhm.
really, really pleased that he's okay now. But again, like, and it's done that for him, isn't it? That he's taken that beauty from it, of like,
Yeah.
it's shaped him going forward of what he wants and what really matters. And it was the
Mhm.
same with my cancer diagnosis. I had the choice. I was angry. I had the feels. I
Yeah.
got upset and shouted. I was worried about what it meant for my boys because Harrison was only 5 at the time. And,
Mhm.
but again, I had a choice. And like I shared with you previously, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for my own diagnosis, and knowing that, but being able to have that choice and be aware, like you said, with the listening to the music and the playlist with your dad and capturing that, and then mentally taking that picture of like, that is a beauty moment. That is
Mhm.
just incredible.
Mhm.
So, how do you think that we can reframe life's challenges into growth, resilience, and self empowerment? We're talking about seeing the beauty and again making that choice, but how do we actually then take those steps and allow us to do that in the moments?
I think, like we were just talking about, I think what I tell all my clients and anybody that wants to listen to me talk about this subject is to allow yourself to feel what needs to be felt first, because we have danger of stepping into kind of a toxic positivity scenario if we don't let ourselves do that. That's when we become that person of, oh, everything's great, everything's fine. And that's my kind of pre-existing way of being. I'm just putting a smile on it and say everything's going to be fine. When it's not, actually, it's not fine at all. And I used to really struggle to cry. I didn't allow it unless I was on my own in private. And I'm still a very private crier anyway, and that's okay. That's who I am. But I was always really worried and really afraid of my kids seeing me cry, because I didn't want them to think I was weak, or I didn't want them to feel they had to take care of me and poor mum. And,
Mm.
so through the divorce and everything else, I was just like, it's fine, everything's fine. And I don't do that anymore, because my body won't let me do it anymore, and it's not healthy to do that. And with with Liam's diagnosis, they openly saw me experience all the emotions that came with that. With my dad's diagnosis, they saw me with all the emotions that come with that as well, because I think it's important for us to teach them as well. Um, so I can't remember the question you actually asked me, Sarah.
It's about reframing life's challenges into
Yeah,
growth,
that's right.
resilience. Yeah.
I go off and then I think, well, actually, this is perimenopause as well. You forget what you
More with you
actually.
there. Yeah, I do that all the time. It's fine. It's fine. And I love what you're sharing. So yeah, keep
Yeah.
going. It's
But
fantastic.
I think reframing I mean, I'm an NLP practitioner, so it's one of our core functions to work on the reframe. But I am extremely passionate about feeling first and not slipping into toxic positivity and not reframing everything immediately, because every emotion shows up for a reason. It's there to be acknowledged, it's there to be embraced. And if we always pop something around it and just say, oh, let me find a positive spin in all of this. Actually, you can absolutely do that, but work through the process first. Because some things are huge and some things are really little. Like, I don't know, your washing machine breaking down is really frustrating, but we can reframe that really quickly and just say, well, you know what? It served me well for 6 years. It's worked twice a day for 6 years. The damn thing is due a break, and we can reframe that really quickly and
Yeah.
move through that process really quickly, as opposed to, I've just lost somebody I really care about, or I've lost a friendship, or my marriage is breaking down. That's not a process we're going to move through really quickly. But we can take really tiny steps with those things. And the more you train yourself to do this, I say, allow it, feel it, move forward from it. And we can just say, well, today didn't quite go as I planned, but I still was able to, I don't know, feed myself. There's a real positive reframe in the darkness of life sometimes. So I'd say, it's a process in itself, and be careful not to slip into that everything is fine kind of toxic state.
Mhm. That's such an important point because I think, and especially as women and as mums, and we have so much else that we need to be doing that it's like if we do just go, I'm fine, we keep going, I'm fine, I'm
Hmm.
okay, and not allowing yourself to feel the feels and actually go
Hmm.
through those processes just means that
Hmm.
it all then bottles up, and at some point it's all going to burst out, isn't it? And we're not
Yeah,
going to be able to, and then it is going to be this huge thing that we don't know how to manage or address at all.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
love that you shared that because it is so important to allow ourselves to, and there's, even with grief, there's a reason why grief has the 7 different stages of to go through, isn't it? And we need to allow ourselves to do that. And yeah, that the analogy of the washing machine is a perfect example of just how quickly it is easy sometimes, but actually other times it takes longer to do that. So
Hmm.
you talk about using that collateral beauty and creating it as a landscape for everyday experiences of using our own stories. And I know particularly like just generally life itself, but also in our own businesses of sharing our stories. And that's what makes us relatable to all of our clients and people working with us. How, what sort of strategies, what sort of things do you have for being able to see our own story as that beautiful landscape and using our experiences going forward?
I think like I said, I think it's just a decision I've made. And it wasn't, there's a beautiful poem, and I read it when I work with clients sometimes. And I'll have to find it and I'll send it to you. And it's called Just Let It Go. And it's just like, she didn't make a big fuss. She didn't ring her friends. She just let it go. And someone showed that to me probably around 15 years ago and sent it to me. And at the time I was like, phew, that was so impactful for me to just make a decision that it was time to let this go. And I think I've got so good at, or I've tuned myself into kind of slipping into that. Hang on a minute, I'm spiraling here. Um, is this a helpful state? Is this a process that my body needs to go through? And what strategy do I want to take now to help myself in this moment? So in November of last year, everything came to a head with my mental health. I was off the back of Liam's diagnosis, the chemotherapy, and then getting the all clear. We had about a month before then Dad was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. And so I just bounced from one to the next. And two very different scenarios. My son was a young man, life to live. There was no way we weren't going to fight hard for this. And my dad at the time, who was 75, coming up 76, and he was at a different stage in his life. However, I'm still going to fight for him, but in a different way. But at the same time, my mental health was just in overwhelm every day. I didn't have the energy to work. I didn't have the energy to do anything. I was in tears every day. And, we were fighting hard through the NHS and the restraints of the NHS right now, getting him the support he needed, getting him here, driving him there, driving him there, me and my brother, which wasn't an issue. We will do anything for him. My dad's also, he lives on his own. He has a life partner, but they've never lived together, and she's not very well either. So all of a sudden in November, I was having a conversation with someone about work, and I got off that call and I just cried and cried. And I messaged my husband. I said, I can't work anymore. I don't think I've got this in me anymore. And he said, everything goes, switch it all off, shut it all down. We need you to be well. So yeah, the website went down, social media went off, everything I announced. I had a WhatsApp community. I'm sorry, I'm going, I'm shutting down. And I have to now focus in on myself and ensure that I've got the resources available to me to not only support myself, but still support my dad as well through this difficult time. So my strategy at that moment was to go back to everything I know and just heal and allow myself to feel, because there was, I am grieving the loss of somebody that's still here, but I'm slowly watching him disappear from me, as the man that I've known my whole life is now a very different version of that. So there was a whole grieving process that was about that. Becoming my dad's parent, that was a whole that shift as well that I had to work through. So yeah, for pretty much 6 to 7 months, everything stopped. I've read about 500 books, fictional books. I did another piece of the picture here, that the collateral beauty is that I've been reminded of how much I love to read. And I'd stopped a long time ago, and I'd heavily focused on the development books, because I'm running my own business, I'm training, I'm supporting others. So I'm just reading self-development books all the time.
Mm.
And I'd stopped with the fiction, because if I've got time to read a book, I'm going to read a book that's going to develop my skills or help my client develop them. And I'd stopped thinking about things that actually I really enjoyed doing. So yeah, I've got a whole new passion for reading. I've read so many books, but they just bring me so much joy. But they also help me distract, disappear, dissociate from my life for an hour a day or whatever I need, or if I'm listening to the book. Um, so yeah, I kind of just went, what do I need? And my husband obviously was hugely instrumental in that. But what do I need right now? Because whether you're parenting or not even parenting, but whether you're holding down a job or you have young children, or I've got older children that don't make any physical demands on me, I still couldn't be the person I wanted to be for them. I still couldn't show up for them in a way I wanted to. And it was, yeah, I would probably say I was in a state of nervous breakdown at that point. So yeah, I am in a much stronger position now. But yeah, it was a wake up call for me.
Mm. Wow, thank you for sharing that and being so honest and vulnerable. And yeah, I appreciate that, because actually it just helps others knowing that we all go through struggles as well, and just being able to talk about it. And like you said, I think the best strategy at that time is to take that step back and say to yourself, what do I need right now? And it's okay if you shut everything down, to step away and take care of yourself. And that's what you need to do. So thank you for sharing that. And it's important to allow ourselves to do that, to know that we don't have to keep going, that we don't have to keep pushing, that it is okay. And like you say, that collateral beauty from that is rediscovering a passion for reading. And 500 books, that's just incredible. Wow.
I mean, yeah, my husband every day would like, oh God, Amazon are here again. or vintage because I buy, used to, I'm not precious about them being brand new. Have got a massive bookcase in my bedroom now that takes up all the space. I've also got a Kindle as well and an Audible account. I guess some would say I'm somewhat obsessed, but it's a healthy obsession, right? And
Yeah.
and like I say, it reminded me. I read all through my younger years, my childhood, um, and I just stopped doing it. And it's just, yeah, I remember. I absolutely love it. I will read probably in a week, 3 books a week.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm so glad you found that passion again and that you're
Mm,
able to do that. And like I say, it's just a prime example of seeing the collateral beauty, isn't
yeah,
it? And
yeah.
tapping back into what you're saying about what is best for me right now. And you mentioning there that it gives you that time to step away, to hide, to escape, to really dip into. And the beauty of fiction is that you can just do that and tap into
Yeah,
something else. And
yeah.
so it's been a good strategy for you. So I think where you shared about that stepping back and what do I need right now, and if reading has become part of that for you, that's perfect. And spending time doing fiction as opposed to the personal growth and development books, which we all do. My bookshelf next to me is absolutely full of
Mhm.
those, and I've recently rediscovered getting back into fiction again.
Mm.
And yeah, it's been good for me. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Steph, this has been amazing. I could talk to you for hours about
Mm.
this, and I'm just really really thankful for you just being so open, so honest, so vulnerable, and just sharing it all because it's something that we need to talk about more, to know that it's okay, to know that it's okay to feel the feels that we all go through, that where times are hard and things that are going on that are difficult, but there is always that opportunity to see and to have that choice. So, and just owning into, and actually that's quite a comforting thought as well, just listening to everything that you shared and knowing that you can take the beauty from it is actually quite comforting, that there may be tough times right now, but actually as time goes on and you process the grief, you go through it, that there is those things that you can see that
Mhm.
become beautiful from it. So thank you so much. Before we wrap up and you share where people can get in touch and find out more about you, is there, I've got one question that I always like to ask all of my
Okay.
guests, but is there anything, like one like final thought or something that you would just like to share before we wrap up?
I don't know. Do you know, as you were chatting away there, I was remembering when you say feel the feels. When I first trained as an NLP practitioner, my teacher at the time, my course leader, told me to go away and watch Inside Out, the movie, which I'm sure a lot of people have watched, but I hadn't at that time because my kids were older, so I wasn't kind of in the Pixar Disney world anymore. But I remember watching that and just being so validated by it and this story of every feeling is valuable to you if we just take a step back and look. And I think if I was to leave what I would hope my legacy of people that remember me is Steph taught me to always feel what's showing up and to look for the collateral beauty. And talking about my sister always brings me so much joy. And when I talk about the collateral beauty of her, it's there's so many things that she showed me that I get to live every day. She doesn't have that choice. So I get to make the choice whether life is going to define me in a really difficult way and I'm going to live in that hole of why me, or I'm going to get to be defined in a way of, but I get to live and make the most of every day. And whether that is picking that book up and not scrolling in the evenings or saying no to something because it doesn't align with you anymore and it doesn't feel right, that almost feels to me like it's the least I can do for her as well. Um, so yeah, if you haven't watched Inside Out, go and watch it because it's fabulous.
Wow, I love that. That's beautiful. And yeah, that's two movies I need to go and see now because likewise
Have you
Harrison's
not seen
older, so
Inside
I've
Out?
I've not seen Inside Out either. So I've
There's
got
two
two
of them
movies this
now.
weekend.
There's the
Yes,
second
I
one
saw the
was
second one.
released.
No.
I think that was released last year, and it was so funny because me and my husband went to watch it at the cinema, and we were probably the oldest two people in the cinema. But I was there for. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait because they bring in anxiety into the second one, and they talk about
Wow,
anxiety, and it's
okay.
it's it's such a powerful message. But I know it's intended for younger people, but so many adults need to see that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible. I'm definitely gonna have to go and see all three of those then now. That's it. Yep, added to the list. Thank you very much. So that's fantastic. The one question that I always love to ask all of my guests is what does being an unapologetic mumpreneur mean to you? And how are you showing up every day, both as a mum and as the boss of your business unapologetically?
Well, I guess the most recent unraveling of my unapologeticness is to step away from social media for my therapy work because I felt like I had to do it even though it didn't align to me. And I did it well, don't get me wrong. But I hated it. I used to every day, every Sunday or Monday, be filled with dread of how am I going to do this? How am I going to put a new spin on how I work and the way I work? And I would come up with social media and then I'd be soul destroyed because no one interacted with it or no one booked me as a result of it. So, unapologetically, I refuse to do social media anymore. I don't have a presence for my therapy work at all, other than my website, which I'm very happy about. If you've I guess all my clients come generally through word of mouth and referral anyway. And this year I just made the decision when I was starting to come back to thinking about work and what it was going to look like for me if I came back, the big absolutely no, no, no was I'm not doing social media anymore. And that's unapologetic for me. I don't care. I can have a social media person that's very skilled, and I'm not knocking them at all. Say to me, you are missing a huge opportunity, and I don't care. I'm not doing it. If you can't sell this to me, I am never doing it. Well, never say never. Right now, it doesn't feel right to me, therefore, I'm not going to do it. And in terms of being a mum, I'll give you an example last night. It was my son's birthday this week. He was 27, so we always have a takeaway night. And last night was takeaway night, and the three girlfriends, the three boys, me and my husband, and they said, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said to them, "Well, actually, I've got a scan tomorrow. I've got a vaginal scan." And the girls were like, "Oh, what was that for?" I said, "Oh, just some perimenopausal stuff." And my younger son went, "Mum, is there ever a time you're not going to talk about your period or your vagina?" And I said, "No, probably not, because I've got one. So there you go." And he was just like, "Oh my goodness." I'm unapologetic about all of those
Love
things.
it.
So
Absolutely love it. Oh, brilliant. That's like one of the best answers I've had, both social media and all of the
well, I
things.
might be a bit too
Brilliant.
much TMI, but again, I'm unapologetic about that as well. I am who I am. And you get to the age of 50, and if people don't like me for who I am, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something I've learned as the years have gone on. If they
Yeah.
don't like it, who cares? And be
Yeah.
unapologetic
That's
about
on
it.
them, not on me.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I absolutely love that. That is brilliant. Oh, Steph, I could keep chatting with you for hours, but we better wrap things up. So, do
Yes.
you want to just share where everybody can find you, connect with you, find out more about what you do? And you have got a networking group, the Sisterhood Networking Group as well. So, do you want to
Yeah.
just share a bit about those? And we'll make sure that all the links are in the
Absolutely.
show notes anyway. But yeah, just
Yeah.
share a little bit while people can connect with you more.
Sure thing. So, as I said, for the therapy, you can find me if you want to online at stephgrainger.co.uk. Other than that, you won't find me online for anything else. But, come to my networking group, come to Thrive because I'll be there, or maybe not. Depends when this goes out. I'll definitely be coming along though as a member, so you will get to see me there. Networking for me is my most favorite way of marketing my business. And when I was reflecting on how I'm going to market the therapy work, it always comes back to networking for me, which is, why I bought the Sisterhood franchise in Chelmsford, because again, I love hosting communities of women. I love creating environments where they can collaborate and create a community together, that there's no cliques, there's no nastiness. It's all just really lovely women supporting women. So the sisterhood fully aligned to me. So I bought that this year and I run those groups. So you can find me online for the sisterhood because I'm okay with that. And that's on Instagram. I am Steph Grainger. So you'll find me there. But again, on the website, there's all the information on there as well. But yeah, I will be spreading my wings into the area for networking because I find that the most absolute powerful way to market my business and what I do.
See, and it's perfect for you because it's a very personal thing that you're
Yeah.
doing, which is no surprise that
Yeah.
all of your clients are coming from word of mouth. So yeah, I love that you're
Mhm.
doing that and that we've connected. And as you know, I run my own network group,
Mhm.
but it's fantastic. Just prime example of the collaboration over competition, and loving
Yeah,
everything that you
absolutely.
do. So we will make sure that all of those links are in the show notes. Go and check Steph out. Go and say hello to her on Instagram. Check out Sisterhood Networking Group, and come if you're local to us. Go and check out one of her meetups as well. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Steph. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Very welcome. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching on YouTube if you have been as well. And I cannot wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me for another installment of the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to leave me a rating and a review so that other mompreneurs can find this podcast too. Here's to unapologetically becoming the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.